Man, it has been a long time since we've had a vlog on the channel. Well, it's mainly because nothing really all that interesting's been going on in terms of a lot of things. I mean, yeah, interesting stuff has been happening, but nothing really I have to talk about this immediately interesting. Well, I also have a few season finales that just happened. No, I'm about a week late, but I kind of wanted the information. I don't want all this to settle a bit, so it's not a major thing. I don't want to spoil people too much. I'll probably spoil someone if you didn't already know about this, but Samurai Jack season 5. I have watched every episode and I have loved the whole thing. I am a fan of Samurai Jack, albeit it's one of those shows that I watched as a kid and didn't fully appreciate till I got old enough to appreciate silent storytelling a bit more and went back and watched a few of the older episodes. I did always love the violence and action though. That was quite good indeed. Yes it was. But anyway, let's talk about season 5. Okay, so the basics of season 5 is that it's been 50 years since the last episode of season 4, and it might as well have been in real life because it's been almost 10 years since the last episode of Samurai Jack aired on television, but that's neither here nor there. But anyway, yeah, so that's like 50 years in terms of TV. So good on you for that. Anyway, it's been 50 years in Samurai Jack time, and he's been alone this whole time. He's lost his magic sword, the only weapon that can kill a coup. He's given up on any chance of going back to his own time because apparently all the time portals have been destroyed. Because the coup finally decided, you know what? I'm just going to destroy all the time portals and just wait it out. He'll die eventually. Unfortunately, Jack is apparently ageless because he doesn't age anymore. Apparently, because of something about apparently because the coup was too rash with his traditional time travel, and apparently because of that, Jack's age is time locked or something like that. I don't know. He's not immortal because he can still die, but he can't age. So there's that. But anyway, Jack is ageless, and he's been alone these 50 years, struggling to find purpose. He's lost his sword. Even if he does manage to find a coup, he can't kill a coup without a sword, and he doesn't have. And he's basically losing all hope. Like the whole first half of the series is Jack trying to regain the hope and optimism that he had throughout the previous series, and it's understandable. It's been 50 years. He's been lost, alone. Again, he's lost his precious sword, the only connection to his homeland that he has left outside of his clothes, and he loses those too somewhere along the way. Of course, in pretty much every episode, Samurai Jack loses his clothes somehow, so, that's neither here nor there. He doesn't really need the sword itself to fight, as the first episode proves he can still fight pretty good without the sword, as he has all this awesome stuff that he uses to fight, and then loses it by the next episode because of Daughters of a Coup. And there's also the big thing for the season, the Daughters of a Coup, even if they're only in there for a few episodes, they are, well, spoilers, they are literally daughters of a coup, as they're born of a cult that worships a coup as a god, which I honestly think that'd be more prevalent considering the fact that the dude's an ageless shapeshifter who's been ruling the world for hundreds if not thousands of years. Anyway, they're a cult that worships a coup, and one day a coup decided to bless them with his goo, and so the head priestess drunk the goo and gave birth to 7 daughters. I don't know specifically why 7, but yeah, 7 daughters. And they were all raised up to be assassins to kill Jack. Like, the way the cult works is that they believe that the world was made by a coup. He's essentially God, and Jack is essentially the devil, and so they're assassins. They're being sent out to kill the devil. And honestly, this kind of twisted framework is pretty cool, even if they only use it for a few episodes. This whole twisted, this is the world a coup rules kind of situation. But anyway, we had the whole series, but in a more personal sense. Anyway, of course, Jack and the Daughters of a Coup fight, and then Jack takes his first human life. Well, apparently, I haven't gone back and watched every episode, but apparently Jack has killed a human or humanoid before, but he hasn't killed a woman before. But anyway, this is the first time that Jack has killed someone, apparently, and he's obviously having issues with that because he has a fear of actually killing people, thanks to an incident from his childhood. From there on, he basically decides to man up and kill the remaining daughters of a coup, if only to defend his own life. actually managing to trap one and spare her life after discovering they're not like the previous assassins who was sent after Jack. They're pretty much brainwashed, well, literally brainwashed into believing certain things. And so Jack decides, you know what, he'll show her the truth. He'll show her the real world, what Aku's rule really looks like. And from there on, she joins Jack in his adventures, if only for a few episodes. The one that Jack saves is Ashi. She was the one who stood out from the other daughters of Aku. Basically, she was the special one of the group, the one that didn't really listen as well, but also had the most skill out of all the other sisters, which is why she was able to survive. Jack, at least initially. Anyway, season 5 is as much about Jack dealing with this whole situation as it is about Ashi's character growth as she goes from, mindless assassin drone to Aku to basically being someone that Jack can stand side by side with in the heat of battle. She grows to see the world that Aku has destroyed the darkness and devastation of the world, but also sees the hope that Samurai Jack has basically planted the seed of in the world. She basically sees. They have a bunch of callbacks to all the good things Jack has done over the seasons, like, the elephant people who are ruled by the Mandarks. I know that's not what they're called, but they're voiced by Mandarks, so I always called them the Mandarks. The rave, I was happy to see the rave again. Like, this thing's still going on. I fucking love it. Like the blind archers. I mean, they're not blind anymore, but the archers, who are all awesome. Basically, we have a lot of callbacks to previous seasons and Ashi encounters. A lot of them even get a callback to Samurai, who I was like, I have never been so happy to see you ever in my life. Even that one dude, I forget what his name is, but he's the one dude that Jack fought in one of the most intense battles in the series, who summons the souls of other warriors that Aku had hired. He was another assassin, but Jack beat him, and so I was honestly surprised he was still alive. But it was funny to see a joke about that hanging around, as well as the people that Jack beat down in previous seasons. Anyway, Ashi pretty much helps Jack restore his faith and pretty much everything. Helps him get his sword back when she gets back thanks to the power of the gods. And even then, Ashi herself only changes a little bit. She changes because she has a new outlook. Her whole attitude towards violence, fighting, killing, it doesn't necessarily change because she still is violent and murder prone as she's always been. It's just that now she's actually working for the side of good and has a good sense about what right or wrong are now, instead of just believing what she was taught or brainwashed to believe her whole life. And honestly, it comes in a culmination where she fights against her mother, the head priestess, and manages to kill her in order to protect Jack, which honestly is a pretty cool moment. Furthermore, that's pretty much the first bulk of the season. The remainder is that's pretty much 7 episodes out of 10 episodes. So what do you do for the remaining 3 episodes? Well, one episode, or the first episode, or the 8th episode numbers, is basically Jack and Ashi traveling. They encounter this alien ship that randomly crashes, fight this monster, and they submit that they have romantic feelings for one another, which was a surprise because not only is Jack like 50 plus years older than her, not even counting how old he originally was, but I never expected they would ever give Samurai Jack a relationship, but I kind of figured, with their interaction, because this isn't just some random thing, they've been hinting at it for a minute now, instead of it just being some random, they make out, but they've been hinting at not only this episode that happens and really hinting at the possibility of romance. They also hinted that there might be something growing between the two a bit earlier when Ashi helped Jack restore his faith to humanity and when she helped him get back his sword. But yeah, I'm happy to see that develop. At least, it's really fast, and it does make a bit of sense of character because Jack is Jack. He hasn't had much interaction with the opposite sex, and Ashi has literally been raised in a cave her whole life as part of a murder cult. So we have two people who haven't really interacted much with others outside of violence and battle, and her whole lives have been about violence and battle. So of course they managed to draw some attention, some attraction to one another, even though they both seek peace. And the episode after that is about Jack. Still, basically, he's coming to grips with the whole his feelings for Ashi thing, and then the finale happens after that. Because I don't want to say what happens in the finale right quick. I want to talk about the third character in our little trio of great characters for the season, Aku. Like they use Aku very sparingly throughout the series, throughout the season, and I honestly have to say that's for the best. And not only because the passing of Mako, who was Aku's original voice actor, but also because Aku, he's pretty much living in hiding now. He's afraid that Jack still has a sword. He's just trying to wait it out, wait for Jack to just keel over and die instead of sending out assassin after assassin. He's become as jaded as Jack has about the whole situation over the 50 years that he's been dealing with Jack. Uh, so from there, Aku, again, he's waiting it out, but he does have a few moments, like one moment. I forgot which episode it was. Like the Scotsman, who I'll talk about him in a minute. He brings up an army to fight Aku, and they ultimately get slaughtered because again, the only thing in the universe that can harm and kill Aku is Jack's sword. So basically, we just see Aku slaughter this group mainly because he's bored, and they're attacking the Citadel. Because again, right now he's just living a very bored life. He wants some excitement, but he doesn't want to risk encountering Jack at all. Another interesting character was Scaramou, or if I'm saying that right, who was another robot assassin Aku made to kill Jack. Basically manages to survive his encounter with Jack, gets just ahead, and pretty much goes to inform Aku that, hey, Jack doesn't have a sword. Of course, the ultimate punchline is, by the time Aku does learn the news, oh, Jack doesn't have a sword, Jack has gotten the sword back, and at least that bit. I really do love the fact that Jack is still a very character. As soon as he's Aku, he's like, Aku! Just charges ahead trying to kill him. like, and then, Aku still has this whole, I want to kill the samurai, get rid of the sword, become ultimate power, all that kind of thing. And that leads to the finale. And I'm skipping over something important because I forgot it for a minute. It slipped my mind. But before, when Aku encounters Jack again, he's with Ashi, and then Aku essentially enters Aku inside of Ashi and essentially possesses her to fight Jack, using her inner Aku as her weapon against Jack, because Jack can't fight against her because he's fallen in love with her. Which, again, it's a pretty good use of that whole narrative trope thing. And so from there, Aku, Aku's always been a bit of a showboat or a showman in a sense, especially in later seasons. So he basically decides, and what I believe is probably the best move ever, he uses the opening title sequence as a gigantic swerve to basically tell the whole world, hey, I got Samurai Jack now, and I'm gonna murder the piss out of him and crush your hopes and dreams. I've heard this move being called stupid, but in a sense that, Jack has been basically planting these little seeds of hope across the world, and Aku wants to snuff them all out at once. And so the best way to probably do that is killing Jack. So, Aku kills Jack, Jack dies, all hope in the world dies because nothing else in the world can defeat Aku except for Jack's sword, and only Jack can wield the sword. Well, to our knowledge, only Jack can wield the sword. No one else has tried to wield it yet. Or ever, in actuality. Anyway, this leads to pretty much everyone that Jack has helped, and of course the entire series coming to help him for once, and save the day, saving Jack. Jack does this whole inner battle with Ashi thing, tells her he loves her. Ashi manages to win the fight over the inner Aku, and that leads to the finale. But I'll talk about the finale and the final bit in a second, and talk about the Scotsman. The Scotsman, he had a very minor role. He kind of had to be there because he was a very fan favorite character for a very good reason. But so again, it's been 50 years, so he's really, really old, and he has this whole army of daughters. I don't know the exact number because there's such a ridiculous high number of kids that it's pretty much a joke. Anyway, he has an army of daughters, and so when his first initial attempt to destroy Aku, which of course he knows, which he probably should have realized he would fail. I like how he realized, you know what, this was a bad idea. Let's just get the fuck out of here. He pretty much says that as soon as he sees his army being decimated. Yeah. He dies protecting his daughters, but manages to come back to life because of Celtic magic that's in his sword. That was a kind of recurring plot point about how his sword was mystically enchanted like Jack's. Although apparently it was not mystically enchanted enough to be able to hurt Aku, but that the mystic enchantment made it unbreakable, despite the fact Aku broke it in the episode. So I guess Celtic magic wasn't strong enough to prevent a coup darkness, but it was enough to bring him back as a ghost. And thankfully, as a ghost, as his younger self. Anyway, that moment in the finale where it's Jack and a Scotsman talking for like all of a minute, I really love that entire moment. It's like this is something that doesn't totally happen. Like Jack's like, "You're dead," and he's like, "Yeah, I'm dead. Look at my bony daughters over there." I mean, just proceeds to hand off. It's just like, oh, so many. But anyway, I just love these two interacting. And it's good to see Jack have friends, and Scotsman was definitely one of Jack's friends, even if Jack never really said out loud that they were friends. Or he did. I have again. I'm just looking for an excuse to go back and watch previous episodes of Samurai Jack. Anyway, so again, Jack has his inner fight with Ashi's spirit, and she managed to get into control of Aku. Then they quickly realize she has all of Aku's powers, and that includes the time screech. And I just love the little moment where Aku goes, "Oh no," because he realizes that she can go back in time. So they go back in time to the exact moment right after Aku sent Jack to the future. And so, they go into the past. Jack screams out, "Aku!" and then kills the weekend past Aku. So, Jack kills Aku, and then him and Ashi, they're in love, profess their love to each other, and then they Gurren Lagann us. Like, basically speaking, because Aku was destroyed, Ashi will die because, time paradoxes, although Jack's existence, because if Ashi dies, no, there's no way for Jack to get back from the past, because Ashi was his way back to the past, so how is he still standing there? But magic time travel, so I'll just let that slide. But I guess because, Aku couldn't give his goo to the daughters of Aku, Ashi dies, or fades from existence, and Jack is left in another depressed mope, and decides to wander the world. Again, they Gurren Lagann us. Like I said it on Twitter, that, okay, Samurai Jack, you Gurren Lagann me, and then when I found a side-by-side comparison image, I yet again posted it on Twitter, and it said, further example that Samurai Jack Gurren Lagann us. Now, those of you that haven't seen Gurren Lagann, which why haven't you, the same as that situation almost went down, where the main heroine was taken over control by the main villain, although in this case it was the son of the main villain, and then, basically after they were destroyed, she could no longer exist, and she died on her and the main hero's wedding day. Literally at the altar. Ashi didn't even make it to the altar. So yeah, sorry, I just kicked the table by accident, sorry. But yeah, Ashi dies, Jack was left a depressed mope and decides to go wander the world, and he basically becomes a butterfly, and not a butterfly, a ladybug, and this is kind of representative of Ashi, as she's had various moments with ladybugs, and so he decides to fly, and he gets a bit of a smile on his face because he believes that Ashi, because it's hinted that Ashi's spirit still somewhat lives on in one way, shape, or form. This is kind of a sad ending, but at the same time it's a pretty good ending considering the series in question. I mean, it's sad that Jack and Ashi couldn't be together in the end ultimately, but again, this is just Jack's back. There's no more dark future, although I wonder if that makes all of his previous adventures officially not happen. So like a Sonic 06, but I think this ending is a lot better than Sonic 06 because Jack was willing to sacrifice everything and not be a selfish twit because of someone that he loved, and in his case, him and Ashi spent way more time together than a few hours, or maybe one day, like Sonic and Elise, and that's the only time I'll mention that little piece of mess in this. But anyway, the ending is going to be, like I've already heard it be a source of confoundment amongst the fan base, because some people are kind of mad that Ashi died. Some people didn't like Jack and Ashi in the first place. Some people didn't like the fact that Jack wasn't managed to get back in time, because that kind of negates everything he did in the series so far. Some people do like the fact that like Ashi died. I like all of it. Some people, like basically everyone has their own opinion. And my personal opinion, I have to say, I did like the ending. Yes, I was bummed out that Ashi died, but me being bummed out basically told me that I had grown attached to the character enough to be bummed out that she died. Basically speaking, she wasn't just a nameless face. She was a character, a person. Oh, not a person, but you know what I mean. She was a character in this show, and her life and death actually made me care about it. Actually made me care about her, which for under the course of about 9 episodes, maybe 10 episodes, you managed to create a character that actually made me feel a bit of emotional attachment. That's pretty good. I always applaud the writing of the show, and they've done another excellent job on the great character, Inashi. Again, I do love this season. I love it as a finale climax to Samurai Jack. I love seeing Jack again. I love the whole thing about Jack's whole depressive streak. I didn't even talk about Bat Jack. Well, not Bad Jack, but I think it might be a reference to Bat Jack, or at least a hinting of Bad Jack, because it was hinted that Bad Jack was still inside of Jack. As you don't know, Bad Jack is essentially like an evil version of Jack that Aku accidentally created when he was sick. This is like kind of like in like Rage Jack, I've heard it been called, or something like that. And this guy's on screen, it's always great because he's always drawn in these weird, like awkward angles and just weird motions that are really fun to just look at because it's like the motion he does is pretty interesting. I also like the way that they get rid of him in the end too, with Jack coming to terms with all of this and finding his inner resolve and all that crap. Been talking for over 20 minutes somehow. My throat's drying up. So, anything else in this season? No, talk about. I think that's pretty much it. Again, I do love this season. I love a lot about it. I love that there's still these very silent moments. The subtlety's still there. The writing's still there. Honestly speaking, out of all the reboots that Cartoon Network has ever done, this is one of the best ones. Now, this is one of the best ones. There's one moment I do want to mention. Basically speaking, this is on Adult Swim, but you honestly wouldn't tell that much is on Adult Swim aside from the blood and the more violence that there is now. Aside of that, the only time that they use the fact that they're on Adult Swim is when Scaramouche, when he's on his journey to Aku, says, "That guy's head looks like a penis." It's like, whoa! Well, damn. Honestly speaking, I think, aside from that one random moment, which I think it says the writers taking full advantage of the fact that they're on Adult Swim now can say more naughty words, even though it's not in Jack's character to say said naughty words. You honestly couldn't tell this apart from any other piece of the series, which is honestly really good. This is the best reboot or revival of a previous work that Cartoon Network has ever done, because again, the Powerful Girls revival has been atrocious. Teen Titans Go. There's something else that was revived, but I forgot what it was. It was probably that uninteresting. But yeah, out of all the properties Cartoon Network has revived, this is the one that they've treated the best. And honestly speaking, I love to see this trend continue with some older cartoon shows. Maybe get some wrap ups to some things that didn't get fully resolved. I heard someone mention basically that this could be a good sign that Cartoon Network could bring back the K&D for the Galactic K&D. For those of you who don't know, that's been a little thing that's been floating around the internet. Google it sometime. But honestly, it comes to shows that I like to see come back for at least a little bit more closure. I was, let's say, the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, if only to see a more balls to the wall comedy out of that series. See what being on Adult Swim could maybe help them do, because I doubt that current Cartoon Network could hold a show that morose on its network. So yeah, I'm out of things to talk about, honestly. Again, I should probably vlog more, but I probably won't unless I find anything as interesting as this to talk about. Maybe if you want me to talk about some other shows, I could talk about Flash's season finale. I have to wait another week for that, especially because at time of recording I have about I should probably be going to sleep soon because I'm going to MomoCon in about 6 hours at time of recording, and I've been up all night writing stuff. When am I writing? Well, I will leave that as a surprise if you care about my writing at all. So anyway, I will see you on the next video, even though that was all pre-recorded stuff. All the videos are pre-recorded stuff months in advance, for those of you who haven't guessed already. So I'll see you on the next one of those, and maybe in a future vlog about The Flash. Possibly, maybe. Till then, everybody.